Welcome to T's Voices, telling the stories of the people in our NHS community.
Hello, I'm Elliot Kennedy, and today we're here talking about the Globe Theatre with John, Mike and Steve. John, tell me, how did the Globe trustees go on?
We started in 2018. Me personally, and maybe a few others, there was an advert in an article in the Evening Gazette asking for volunteers in 2018. They wanted researchers, photographers, and someone to document things. I'm good on research. I love researching anything. So I contacted the council. At first, I think there was about 20-odd volunteers, about 25. 29 volunteers.
Well, yes, 25 initially, sorry.
Yeah, 25 volunteers. We all had an induction. We all went to see the Globe for the first time, and it was a bit of a shell. It was getting done up, and there was all builders in, taking asbestos, and there was water damage and everything like that. So we took photographs, and we got introduced to each other. We didn't know each other beforehand. And we became more or less a happy family, really. My interest is music. I've always been, since the first time I heard the Beatles in 1963. I was an 11-year-old, and I thought that's what I want to do, something in music. So following year, I bought a guitar. I learned to play the guitar, joined a band. And when that split up, I went into doing music quizzes in pubs. I worked at the Horse and Jockey for 10 years doing quizzes. So I've always been into music. The Globe opportunity to be researching for the Globe, it was fantastic. So I really enjoyed working there.
So, I mean, the Globe's got a very long history from the mid-30s with the second coming of the Globe.
Yeah.
Why is it important to keep the history of the Globe up to date?
It was built originally it was built in 1913, and it was the first purpose-built cinema in Teesside. And it was the first one to do silent movies. And then when it got rebuilt in 1925-26, it was the first cinema to do talkies. So it's got a long history. And when it was built the third time around, back in 1935, it was very opulent. It was bigger. Seating was 2,372 seats, the largest stage in the country, or one of the largest stages in the country. It was Teesside, like a jewel in the crown for Teesside. No other theatre in that area, in Teesside area, was like it.
Mike, what's your squint on this?
Right. I started volunteering in 2019. I was one of the later recruits. I started volunteering after retiring from work and being interested in entertainment, etc. I saw an advert when they were looking to get extra volunteers, and I applied and was accepted. My main interest was photography, and so I was one of the photography team that photographed the work that was going on. There's not just me, there was about 10 photographers plus a professional photographer who was recording the works as well. But during that period, I got more interested as well in doing the researching who had appeared on the Globe when. I've long had an interest in music, and I've seen a lot of bands. Unfortunately, I only went to the Globe twice while it was at its heyday, if you like, in the 60s. I saw a lot more of the Fiesta, to be perfectly honest. But yes, it's been a really interesting period, and I've made some great friends during that period as well. And I think that's one of the things about volunteering, that you meet people of similar and like interests, but maybe broader, and you form some really good friendships.
Steve, what's your take on the Globe?
Well, like John, I was one of the first volunteers to turn up there, and to me, the Globe, or the ABC as I used to know it, was part of my childhood. The ABC Miners on a Saturday morning, you go down there and it was full of kids, and you had the shows and the films and everything else. And I'd recently retired, and I thought, that's absolutely brilliant. You get in behind the scenes, I mean, we've been places where none of the general public would ever have got during the refurbishment. And what we've learnt historically is absolutely fantastic. The architect who was dealing with the refurbishment told us all that the Globe is one of the very few left now which is a super theatre, which means it has no restricted views. There's no pillars, no obstructions, no nothing. You can see everything from any seat in the house. And that makes it a major achievement for the town. There's a lot of criticism during the refurbishment, but then the shows have come. And the one I always quote is when Six first came, and they were at the Globe over Christmas, the story about Henry VIII's wives. And it was about 8 shows, and it was filled every single night. Close to 20,000 people coming to the Globe. And all of those are not from Stockton, so we're bringing people in from the outside as well. With the other refurbishments that are going on, people come down, they've got the hotel to stop in. And okay, it's not massive, it's not what it used to be, as people say. Nowhere is. But if we can draw people in with the events and everything else, and the independent shops are getting the business and everything else, that's the way the high street's going. And to me, the Globe is a central part of it. I was in town on Wednesday, and normally I park up, and there's no problem getting parked. I barely found a space in Wellington Square because the Riverdance afternoon show was on, so it was absolutely jammed. And these are the sort of things we want to do to bring people back in. But volunteering, like I say, it gets you behind the scenes. Quite often up on the roof where the projection room is, and we had to transfer across the roof and into the projection area. General public don't get there now because of health and safety and things like that. But to see it develop from an absolute empty shell, which really could have been demolished, into something as beautiful as it is, that's what it's all about. And being able to tell that story to everybody else helps with the history. We take our information out into the community, go to various groups, put on displays, and talk generally about these things and get people's memories as well.
Now, the Globe had a massive history, particularly in the 50s and 60s, when if you wanted to be somebody, you had to attend the Globe in Stockton, like Cliff Richard and the Shadows. And I believe they wrote Stars Fell on Stockton and Summer Holiday in the orchestra pit.
Yeah, that's right.
So there's a lot of history there.
Yeah.
So what's the best thing about volunteering for the Globe?
Just like Steve said, it's behind the scenes. You go to places. We've been in the dressing rooms, the on stage, backstage, everything. It's places where the public don't really get to see, but it's the people who the volunteers are. You get to make new friends, and just good. It's just really good.
Mike said it started off with about 25 and increased after that. At the moment, I would say at least 20 of us are still... 10 is a close-knit group. Yeah. But we have social events and things like that where the others who can't do the volunteering with the Globe now, they come back to us and we have a chat, and it's friends for life. That's what it's all about.
And it's also imparting a lot of the information we've gathered to people who visit the Globe. There are venue tours which we take part in, and people are really interested in the history and some of the things that we know of and can impart, and people are really interested in that. My particular interest, being an ex-civil engineer, is the building itself, which is a fantastic building. There's some really nice things about it. It's an Art Deco building. It's got a lot of original features still, a lot of replacement features, but there is a great deal of history to the building itself. And John is particularly knowledgeable on that, is some of the groups and the bands that have appeared over the years, particularly in the 60s. I think we've learnt a lot of facts which wouldn't have been generally known at the time, and being able to impart these to visitors when they come and see the Globe, they really appreciate it. We also actually are quite prepared to go out into the public domain and give talks to people who perhaps can't visit the Globe itself, such as care homes, hospitals, to let people know a little bit of the history and the facts about the Globe. Interesting facts. It's not all dull and boring. I suppose it could be, but. We've got a good repartee, I think, and people who've had us give them a presentation, I think, have been very, very appreciative.
Is there a book coming out about the history of the Globe?
We're sort of working on one, which we hope to produce. Our biggest problem at the moment is copyright for posters and programmes and things like photographs. which we're trying to work our way around. It's an absolute minefield. But we are hopeful. We've got started on it, and things are progressing. But it's been delayed slightly. But yeah, hopefully that's what we're going to do.
And how do you become a volunteer at the Globe?
Well, at the moment, if you contact the trust, and we will obviously interview you and see what you can bring to the Globe. There is still a lot of research to be done on the past, on the building itself, and general entertainment in Stockton. One of the things we do sort of expand into, not necessarily just the Globe, but there were quite a lot of theatres in Stockton, particularly in the 30s, 40s, 50s. The Empire, the Odeon, the Georgian Theatre, the Plaza, Hippodrome. So, there is quite a lot of material to dig up and put into something that the public can access and appreciate.
I understand that members of the Globe are doing something for the memory wall inside the hospital.
That's right. There is a panel up there with some old posters and programmes presented on the wall, so a little bit of a memory prompt. And I must say at this time I'm also a member of Stockton Camera Club, who've done the picture on the stage at the Globe as it is now is mine as well. So, but we are as well looking to prepare more stuff for an extension to the memory wall with a few more posters and programmes.
Good. So, where do they contact? How do they contact you?
The contact is Stockton Globe Trust @gmail.com.
And email them, they'll reply to you.
Them.
Mike, Steve, John, thanks for coming in and telling us a bit about the Globe Theatre.
No problems. Thanks for inviting us.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Till next time, you've been listening to T's Voices.